team the vote.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Ryno.
What is up, everybody? It is Kings basketball early. Look at the sunlight peeking through the studio windows. Means it's early here on the West Coast, but it is just about right for the second game of this road trip for the Kings in Atlanta. Look, this is an Atlanta team that is beat up. They are only 2-3 on the season. We're going to talk about that and much more on the other side. We'll get you all ready. Don't forget, we've got coverage all night for you right here on If You Don't Like That. Welcome in to the pregame show with Ryan in Sacktown.
Break it down in Sacktown, we're the crown.
Needs to be more aggressive on the offensive end, but this is the time to Williams, the D-Hop. Fox, goodbye. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball.
Oh, hi, Bane. Turquoise waving face, green smiling, cat orange. I'm guessing the cat orange means you got your fill of candy last night. Been chowing down. Just packed your lunch today with the mini Snickers, M&Ms, Reese's Cups if you're me. Hope everybody had a great Halloween, by the way. It was cracking out here in Elk Grove. I mean, cracking. We got to the street that gets shut down at about 7:15. In fact, you can go to my X page at Ryan_in_Sacktown. There's some pictures and some videos up. But if anybody's ever been to Santa Barbara, it was literally like K through 6th grade Del Playa Street. It was incredible for the kids. Somebody was shooting candy from the top story of the house down a little luge. They do it right out here, man. Hope you all had a good one. As I said, safe one. Got your dad taxes, your mom taxes, whatever it may be. Hope your little ones got everything they wanted yesterday. Will we get what we want, which is a Kings win? Second game of the road trip for the Kings. They've had some time off since Tuesday, so they are well rested. In fact, I think this road trip comes at a perfect time now. It's a wacky and bizarre road trip that the Kings are on right now because you go to Atlanta, then you go to Toronto. Think about the geography and the travel here for a second. And then you come all the way back to South Florida. And you've got a back-to-back. Tomorrow you're in Toronto, which means you're going through customs each way. When you get to South Florida after the Raptors game, you got 1 day off, and then it is the Heat. So anyways, we'll talk more about this Atlanta team in a second, tell you who's in, who is out. If you want to get in on the show, you are more than welcome to. You can call the show using the QR code on the screen. The link is in the chat as well. So get in here, open phones, also your messages via the chat. We'll put them on the screen and get to it. The pregame show brought to you by Bennett's today. It's that time of year. It is getting around the holidays, fall. To me, favorite time of year in Sacramento. This was the time of year that I didn't get in San Diego. You get the cold mornings. You get a little bit of a warm up in the afternoon. Beautiful colors. Yes, it is time, and Bennett's is the place to be. 3 locations in the greater Sacramento area. The West Side Grill you see on the screen, that is the newest one, the 3rd location here in the area. Make sure you go to bennettsrestaurants.com. Maybe you're there right now getting some happy hour, 2 to 6 o'clock. Sips and tastes. If you are, let them know that you heard about them here on If You Don't Like That. Can't make it for happy hour? No worries. This weekend, they've got prime rib tonight, Saturday, Sunday. Also, weekend brunch tomorrow. Make sure that you get in there. You can get 2 entrees, bottle of champagne for under $50. pretty damn good if you ask me. So huge thanks to Bennett's for sponsoring today's show. That's Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Make sure you get in there and support them. Derek, what's up, dude? Come to Minnesota to get a nice winner. Let's go Kings. Dude, I would do that in a second. I went to Wisconsin before the basketball season started and spent some time with my buddies. There's 3 of them that live there. The rest of us from around America and actually Canada too. Canada was represented on that trip, flew down, and that's where we congregated. And that was the next thing that I said. I got to experience a winter in Green Bay or someplace, Minnesota, someplace in the Midwest, because the cold weather does not bother me. Put me in a shack, give me a fishing pole, make a hole in the ice, and just let me be. Just make sure that ice doesn't float off. Make sure the ice is stable. So, Derek, if that's an invitation, dude, you better be careful. I might get my butt out there.
Acknowledge me.
I got you. I'm acknowledging you, Derek, too. Fly is down, shoe untied, hat backwards, muted. Come on, man. Come on, man. Bane, doing Bane things. Steven, welcome in today. Ryan, do you think adding DeRozan will stunt Keegan's offensive growth? No, I think it helps Keegan's offensive growth. We'll talk about that here in a minute. As I said, we've got halftime. Jerry Reynolds will be with us as always. So make sure you click it back here on If You Don't Like That once the buzzer goes off after the second quarter. And then post game, Grant and I, we wrap it up. We open up the phone lines to you. Want to hear from all of you. That's what this show has become. The show has become taking your calls, getting your input, and we take your calls for a reason. Most of you know what you are talking about. We have educated, good conversations that make it better generally. Sometimes we get knuckleheads like Bobo the other night. Anybody on board when Bobo called? I really shouldn't be saying that name. I don't want to recognize him and give him any more run. But yeah, get in with us tonight. We would love to have you. So again, Kings Hawks tonight, getting ready to tip off here in about 35 minutes. Well, 35 minutes till TV starts, about 45 minutes till the game tips off. What do you need to know about these Atlanta Hawks? 2-3 on the season, 2-1 at home. So home record, not too bad. It's over 500, but they are banged up. A name, a face that all of you, if you've been with the Kings a while, know and recognize and love. Bogey, he is out tonight. He is out for at least 4 weeks. He had a procedure done on his hamstring, so no Bogey tonight. Dyson Daniels, also their guard, pretty damn good guard at that. He is out as well. Cody Zeller, out. DeAndre Hunter, out. Kobe, Buff Kid, out. So what's that mean? It means this Hawks team is going to come out probably swinging a little bit. Most recently coming off a loss on Wednesday night to the Washington Capitals. Now, something interesting about this Hawks team, they can't play a lick of defense usually. They are near the bottom of the NBA at defense. But you know what they do well? They get to the free throw line. Isn't that kind of weird? They get to the free throw line. In fact, free throws attempted, pretty damn good. They're second in the NBA at free throws attempted, 34 per game. Not too bad. Free throws made, first in the NBA. So can the Kings play without fouling? Now, you look at their starting lineup. You're going to have that rookie Zachary Risachet in there. You've got Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, who has given the Kings problems in the past, a very athletic forward. What to expect? They like the pace. They're going to want to play a little bit up tempo. You're going to see a lot of pick and roll. You're also going to see a lot of ISO with Trae Young. The Kings, not always great ball defenders, so communication is going to be key in this game for the Kings. Also, if you need to slow them down, throw a little zone at him. We talked about it earlier this week. Luke Laux taking over the defensive responsibilities for the Kings. He's done a great job so far. Coach Brown talked about it the other night. And some of the subtle changes, the zone press, which we've seen a couple times. You see this during the game. You see this? That's going to be your zone press, which is a full court zone press. Sometimes they will drop back to man. Sometimes they won't. The Hawks are susceptible to turnovers. If you look at the game most recently against Washington, the Hawks bench didn't turn the ball over at all. Their starters, though, turned the ball over every time for them in that game. So it's imperative that the Kings push it a little bit, pick up the defense, and really come out fresh. Don't be, kind of laissez-faire like we've seen against some teams in the past. I talked yesterday on the Kings court about the Kings playing desperate right now, and that's great. That's exactly what they should be doing. Now, granted, they played two of the worst teams in the NBA in their last two games, but they took care of business, something the Kings could not do at times last year. So I'm looking for that desperation. I'm also looking for that balance from this team. The Kings are a 6.5-point favorite in this one. For those, I got some DMs too before the show. Want to hit a couple things since we were talking injuries. De'Aaron Fox told the G-Man the reason he's taping his fingers now is because of an injury that occurred in training camp. And I've gotten some DMs, gotten some messages on the X. Well, why wouldn't you just sit him, get him healthy? Because De'Aaron told the G-Man, and I'm paraphrasing, unless there's a month off, it's something I'm going to deal with all season. Here's my retort to all of you on X that are panicking. Almost every guy on the court is dealing with something. Not once has De'Aaron Fox been listed on the injury report this season. So to me, it's not a huge deal. It hasn't affected his handle too much. Shot, debatable, but it's nothing it's nothing different than anybody else is going through right now. So I appreciate De'Aaron disclosing that, but anybody really kind of freaking out about that? Let's not, because it happened very early in training camp. It happened before the first preseason game. So let's put that to rest. Let's get back to the chat. Also, we're going to talk some more about your Kings. Here's some more stats for the Hawks. You can check those out. Let's see. Huge game tonight, says Southern Justin, Iowa. Agree, my man. It is. Dyson Daniels trade is looking like a good one. We'll see. Let's see. Come on by, dude. I just might. Patrick checking in from Long Island. What's up, dude? How you doing, buddy? Hope you're having a great Friday so far. I was at the Kings Hawks game over 25 years ago. Dude, Patrick, has it been 25 years since Bibby was on the court? Unreal. You just made me feel old. Game was close, 101-97. Just can't remember who won. The Kings have historically struggled in Atlanta, and I think it's for this reason. It's a terrible basketball town. It's an awful basketball town, at least NBA town. You've got to generate your own energy. You're not going to get it from the crowd. If you're thinking that you're going to come in there and shut that crowd up, there is no crowd usually to shut up. So another key to me is the Kings making sure that they bring the energy tip to tip. They absolutely have to. Coach Brown, and we hit on this a little bit yesterday on the Kings court, talked about some of the things that the Kings still can improve on, because there is still a lot of room for improvement with this team, but we'll get to them here in a few minutes. I saw a question and I don't want to pass it up. We'll get to this one really quick and then we'll go back to the other one. Do I think adding DeRozan is stunting Keegan's growth, Stephen? I don't. I think stunting Keegan, you have a better chance of stunting Keegan's growth by doing what you did last year and putting the ball in his hands and basically saying, go make a play, because there's nobody else around you besides De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, and Domantas Sabonis that can create on that team. I think now with DeMar DeRozan on the floor, it allows Keegan to pick and choose the spots where he wants to go and create a play, because there's plenty of opportunities out there for scoring. We have not seen we've not seen this Kings offense kick into full gear by any means. They've missed a lot of shots. 3-point percentage down. It's only 34, or it's just below 35%. Now, the amount of threes they're shooting, I completely agree with. I think that's spot on, which is 34.8 per game, and 28 of those are catch and shoot threes, which is a dramatic difference from last year. A lot more threes off the dribble, a lot of rushed attempts. And part of that was because there was a lot of pressure on Keegan to create, to take that next step. Now Keegan gets to learn alongside somebody like DeMar DeRozan. And as you've seen, I've seen more playmaking from Keegan early in this season than I really remember in the first 25 games last season. Significant playmaking, the same plays over and over again, where he's getting to the free throw line extended, he's getting to the elbow and taking that fadeaway shot and creating the space. That to me is natural growth. Let the young man grow at a natural pace. You don't want to throw somebody in there and put the weight of an offense on their shoulders. And that's certainly not the case with Keegan right now at this time. So let's see, Patrick would have said hello to Grant if I could and had looked into the future. Yeah, right. Exactly right. Grant would have been there. You're freaking out. Why are you freaking out, Bane? Get it, Kings. Agree, dude. Well done, Cody. I think, you know what? You get a Marv Albert. 100% agree. So here's the Hawks stats. If you want to take a look at these, here's their team statistics. This is page 1 of 2. You can look those over. Tells you what they do good, tells you what they don't do well. Free throw shooting, again, that jumps off the page to you, but there's a lot of opportunities. There's not many low numbers up top on that chart. So the Kings traditionally, again, sometimes struggle with teams like this. But at the start of the show, I said, I think this road trip came at a perfect time. It's a wacky road trip with the travel and the way that the NBA scheduled it. But this team has predominantly been in Sacramento since September. Think about it. They were here doing open gyms in September. You start training camp, you do the preseason, you have a little bit of travel, not too far. This is their first time out on the road. And sometimes when you get out on the road for an extended period of time, it's good early on to galvanize a group, especially a group that's adding in a piece like DeMar DeRozan. So I have high expectations for this road trip. What are your expectations for this road trip? Again, the Kings head into this one 2-2 on the season. The Hawks 2-3 on the season. However, they are 2-1 at home. Let's see. Preston talking about the Monarchs. Be nice if the Monarchs could come back. I don't know if I see that happening, Preston. I just don't know. Not a lot of people realize that the WNBA has operated at a deficit every single year of its existence. That thing was championed by David Stern. He kept pushing it and pushing it. And now they're in a place where they have stars that have grown in college, gotten a lot of notoriety, which has now carried over into the WNBA. The WNBA just got their newest rights deal or media rights deal. And so the question becomes, can they capitalize on this? And I would say last year, they really fumbled the ball this last season. They could have done a lot more with what they had, and they didn't. So for Sacramento to hop back in and get another team, I'm not sure. That's a question for Jerry, question for Grant, certainly. Here's the Hawks stats for you, by the way, by individual. Now, remember, no Bogdanovich tonight. Bogey, one of our favorites off the bench. He is out along with Dyson Daniels, Cody Zeller, DeAndre Hunter, and Kobe Butkin. Really rough for the Hawks right now. Now, back to the Hawks. I said there's some athleticism in this lineup, and there is. You know who gave the Kings fits last year? Larry Nance Jr. He's coming off the bench for Atlanta. He was in New Orleans last year, and especially that play-in game where the Kings lost and the season ended. Nance was a big part of what the Pelicans did that night. You got Trae Young in the starting lineup, Clint Capella, Jalen Johnson. You've got Zachary Risache, as we've talked about, and David Roddy. Those are going to be your starters for Atlanta. The Sacramento starting five remains unchanged. We'll talk about them more here in a few minutes. But I do worry, again, about the athleticism. How will the Kings curb that? You got to keep these guys off the boards, and you have to guard without fouling. Again, number 2 in the NBA at free throw attempts, number 1 in the NBA at made free throws per game. All very important things. So looking forward to the game tonight. Again, we will have full coverage of it for you right here on If You Don't Like That halftime with Jerry. Hoping to have Jerry and Grant here in good spirits after a good first half by this team. And then post game, we will be back. He was spicy, Matthew. He was really spicy in that gold medal game. That was super interesting. Not the gold medal game. Excuse me. He was spicy in the semi game against America, where really Serbia dominated that game. They dominated it. And then America goes on that run, and the rest is history. Kings may come out flat after a couple days off. Yeah, it's a worry. They've had a few days off now. I just feel like if it's going to happen on this road trip, the way that I see it setting up, and remember with the Raptors, Scotty Barnes is out there. The Raptors kind of in no man's land right now, and I don't want to look past tonight, but tonight is a game the Kings should absolutely win. By the statistics, by the way the team has been playing the last 2 games, Atlanta probably not as bad as the record indicates and the numbers indicate, but the defense is. So that's where the Kings really need to make sure they capitalize. You don't want this to be a shootout. You want to see the Kings play the same consistent defense that they have been playing. And again, I will remind you, against better competition tonight, the Blazers and the Jazz. Not a tough guard. Not a tough guard. Now, big, nonetheless, but not a tough guard, especially with Markkanen not playing in the second half of that game. Derek says 3-1 on the road trip, 4-0 for the road trip. Yeah, see, to me, and I'm going to knock on wood, and I'm taking into consideration what Flores said about coming out flat. If the Kings don't come out flat, tonight should be a victory for the Kings. Absolutely should. Now, the Miami game, that's the one that kind of I'm iffy on, because Miami also a team that's a little bit in no man's land. For a couple of different reasons, but you've got Bam Adebayo, who's not historically a great scorer, but he's ate up the Kings many a times in the past. So anyways, Kings and the Hawks coming up in just a few minutes. Make sure that you call the show if you want to. Can get you in right now. Would love to hear from you. Want to make sure, yes, Bane, they are 6.5-point favorites. Did everybody get the candy that they wanted last night? If you have kids, did you collect your dad or your mom tax? You know, we actually, because we left, we ended up with maybe like half a bowl of candy left, half a bowl. But some of the houses on the court that shuts down in our neighborhood, they had massive bowls out. And when I say massive bowls, I'm talking about like containers, not bowls, 21 pounds plus of candy. And there were adults going up there and filling their purses and filling their backpacks. And it's just like, come on, man, just collect your dad tax. Just collect it and be done. Save the candy for the kids. Adam, light the beam. Yeet. We scream and defeat the other team? Oh, dude. You're hitting us with poems tonight.
Oh, king in the castle, king in the castle.
Adam thinks he's the king in the castle. My goodness. Holy crap. Arvin, what's up, dude? Heard a breakout year loading. Loving the new mentality. Seems like the pressure is off him more, and he can be a better 3-and-D. So the defense has improved. Very much so for Kevin Huerter. I'm not going to say a breakout year because he's done some really good things already in his career. I think the thing that has changed the most offensively for Kevin this year is DeMar DeRozan and the way the Kings are playing. They're not running as much through Domas. And Domas, through the first few games of this season, what the hell can you say about the guy? He has been incredible. And I mean that with a capital I. One of the things that we talked about in the offseason. Where does Domas need to improve? And I said, decision making. And many of you are like, well, decision making, he usually makes a great pass. He's had triple doubles like half the season. Yes, he does. Domas almost always makes the right play, but he doesn't always make a quick decision. That has changed this season so far, through the limited sample size that we have seen. Even with his jump shot, the three ball, he's averaging, check this out. Domas is shooting right now he's averaging 1.8 made threes per game. Pretty damn good for somebody that was hesitant to shoot it last year, although he shot it at a good percentage. And he's shooting, check this out. I believe he's shooting right around 3 a game. Let's see. Domas, 3-point attempts, 2.8 a game. Think about that. He's shooting 2.8 a game and making 1.5. Naturally, his assists are going to be down, and that's a good thing. That's a great thing. But back to your question, Arvin, the fact that Kevin was getting so many looks off of the DHO in year one here in Sacramento, 22-23, and the way that the DHO started to be guarded differently last year, hanging off of Domas, that partially put Kevin on the spot to make his own plays, to get different looks, take different shots than he was used to. And so he's getting more of those looks that he was getting in 22-23 this year through 4 games. Really impressive stuff. Now, it doesn't mean that there isn't room for improvement with this team. Post-game last game against Utah, Grant asked me, what do you think the team needs to work on? Anything that you come away with in this one? I thought the Kings in Utah passed up some great shots for either good or bad shots. I also thought that Malik Monk was getting stuck way too much in the air. He was jumping up and not knowing where he was going to go with the ball and making a last-second decision, trying to make a home run pass, as Coach Brown is about to put it. And Coach Brown talked about both of those things after the game.
There are times when we get a little stagnant, and it's because we pass up open shots. We have great shooters on the team, and we want to let it fly. You know, we had 31 threes tonight. Obviously, we didn't shoot them at the clip that we normally do. We were 8 for 31, but in my opinion, we could have easily had 41, 42, 43 threes. But we held on to the ball at times, and we ended up getting taking a tougher shot and or getting a turnover because we did. So that would be the only thing. That would be the main thing is, hey, if we're open, if you're open, let it fly. And then, be solid with our passes. When we got the lead or when we had a chance to blow it open a couple of times, some of our passes weren't good. And it wasn't because of what Utah was doing. It was because we were trying to make the home run pass and threading the needle or something like that. And, it's a process, and we'll all grow from it and learn from it, and hopefully we'll be better going forward.
Somebody get Coach Brown a cough drop. Poor guy. Yes, Coach Mike Brown. Now, Romanowski, you are correct. We heard a ton in the offseason about rebounding. We heard a ton about crash zones. The Kings, and all of these stats, we could point to the Kings being 7th. What is it? 7th in offensive rating, 8th in defensive rating, 9th in defensive rating as of last night. And we could be like, oh, great. And Jay brought this up yesterday, and it's a fair point, but there's the other side to it as well. And this also applies to the rebounds, Romanowski. The Kings are getting to the free throw line at a massive clip compared to last year. In fact, if it continues, I bet they will have attempted as many free throws at the All-Star break as they attempted all of last season, should it continue the way it is. So the rebounding numbers are a little bit skewed because of that. Now, they have missed out definitely on opportunities where they could crash a little bit harder. That will come with time. And you do also have to remember the Kings played 2 very big teams the last 2 games. So that plays into it as well. But it's a fair point. And that's why it's still early in the season. That's why we still need to take a little bit of time, a sample size, to really understand what this team has. And I think Coach Brown, by the time he gets back from this road trip, the rotation needs to be established. Keon Ellis did not have a good preseason. He didn't. So was he down a little bit when he lost his starting job? Who knows? I don't know, but I know this. Keon was not Keon in the offseason and in the I shouldn't say offseason, the preseason. He didn't play in LA. It lit his fire. He came back, was the defensive player of the game in Utah. He's been in the rotation ever since then. And I expect him, as we sit today, Keon's going to get those minutes over Jordan McLaughlin. I truly believe that. Now, Coach Brown may change that up depending on matchups, but those are the little things with the rotation and the sample size that when we look at the numbers and we look where this team's at, we got to take them all into account. But yes, they can definitely agree there. Paul, what's up, man? Hell yeah.
Acknowledge me.
He is at the game, ready to send our Light the Beam chants in Atlanta. Hell yeah, Paul. Where are you sitting, brother? Hope you have a great time. Probably won't be hard to find you on the TV. You might be the only fan there, but dude, represent. I love it. Who's the X factor this season going to be? It's a great question. Who is the X factor? Let me sit on that for a second because I don't know that I'm comfortable giving an X factor this early into the season because we're only 4 games in. But it's a very good question. I can tell you what's definitely going to be an X factor. This bench. We've already seen that. I can tell you right now, Malik Monk has to play better. The bench, Trey Lyles, has to play better. There's not been a ton of points coming off of that bench. Now, the other things, the defense, the deflections, the hustle, that's all been fine. But the scoring, the bench definitely needs to pick that up. But I'll come back to that. Very good question, Joseph. Appreciate that. Baki checking in. What's up, dude? Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Going back in. Oh, Jay and Humboldt blast. There you go. Look at Adam. Ryan rant idea. Keon looked like legend last game. How is he not getting more minutes? I can't argue with it. Kevin Huerter's playing great basketball right now, Mike. I can't. Now, if Jordan McLaughlin was getting the Keon minutes that he's gotten in the last 2 games, yeah. If Jordan was not producing, you could get a Ryno's rant on that. But as of now, no. Coach Brown is giving Kevin a chance. If you look at this team, truly, we talk about how thin they are on the bench, especially at the end, but look at how good they can be 1 through 7, 1 through 8. It is a pretty strong lineup. So it's within reason to understand why coach is kind of taking his time. And has coach been probably a little more open than he should have been about the rotation? Probably should have kept some of that a little bit closer to the vest because it came up 3, 4, 5 times. But yeah, I can't rant on that. You know what I can rant on? Dodger fan blowing their hand off with a firework. I mean, you'd think that's the worst part, but it's not. It's everybody else standing around him, filming him. Views over values. They're screaming out, call 911, call 911. How about you hit stop on the camera and call 911 yourself? When will people get it, man? You can't watch NFL reels on social media. You get like 1 play and then 4 fights because people are recording them and putting them all up there. Kevin, I got you, brother.
Acknowledge me.
There you go. I don't got to eat for you. I'm sorry. Romanowski, kids got too much candy. All right. Kevin, I don't have a hell yeah for you. I'm sorry, buddy. Wrong show. I can get you a hell yeah the next time on the Kings court. Kings got to win tonight, at least break even on the road trip. Yeah, if the Kings don't come back over 500 on this road trip, I think it's going to be a complete disappointment. This road trip, to me, at minimum, should be a 3-1 road trip. 3-1. That is the floor for me. I agree with whoever put that in the chat. Somebody asked me earlier who my favorite player is, and I didn't get to it. I'll if you're still out there, do you mean favorite King right now or favorite King all time? and I'll hit that again. But again, Kings and the Hawks coming up. Kings 6.5-point favorites tonight. The Hawks without Bogey, Dyson Daniels, DeAndre Hunter of note. Also a couple other not playing. Cody Zeller. Kings, same health. Everything is good for them. I can tell you what else is also really good, and that is Bennett's West Side Grill. Do me a favor, go to bennettsrestaurants.com. For any of you who think we read when we talk about Bennett's, we don't. But go to bennettsrestaurants.com. You will not be disappointed. 3 locations here in the greater Sacramento area. In fact, you might be there right now for happy hour, 2 to 6, Monday through Friday. There's sips and tastes. You've got prime rib this weekend beginning tonight, and then weekend brunch at all 3 locations. Also at bennettsrestaurants.com, you can now put in your to-go orders right there on the spot. You don't have to pick up the phone. That is super convenient, and I implore you, please go check out the different specials they run throughout the week, because not only is it top-notch dining and service, it will not break your bank. I can promise you that. Love the redfish there. Steak Cobb salad, killer, amazing soups, steaks off the freaking charts. Unless you're like well done guy. If you're a well done steak guy, it doesn't matter where you go to get a steak. You might as well go to Applebee's or someplace like that. But seriously, Bennett is one of my favorite places in the area. Huge thanks to Brian and Margot and everybody there for sponsoring the show. And do us a favor. If you go into Bennett's, let them know that you heard about them here on If You Don't Like That. We would really greatly appreciate that. And also, don't forget, if you don't mind, and you're not driving and it's not too much of an inconvenience, we'd really appreciate it if you could give us a thumbs up, a like, or retweet, whatever it may be. Helps keep the show in the algorithm and relevant, keeps us in that hashtag Kings conversation on X, the post-game show, post-game show, the halftime show. They all pop up in that hashtag, and that's because of all of you. So thank you very, very much for that. Kings Hawks coming up in just a few minutes. Give me your final scores. We will hit those really quick, and then we're going to get you out to Atlanta. I love that we have somebody here from us, or somebody from Sacramento going to the game. Looking for Lyles to have a good night. He's not looked right. I agree with you, Frog. Offensively, Trey is not finding his spot with this unit yet. I think it will come. Remember, you did not get a preseason, but Trey's got to find his way offensively, much like Kevin Huerter has to. And again, 4 games into the season, he's only got 4 games under his belt without any preseason action. But yes, that is very important for this team. Derek, get the hell out of here with that garbage, my man. The Sunrise Landing Army will be off the hook tonight. Yeah, Sunrise Landing. Go check it out. Colusa County. Yes, Sunrise Landing is awesome. Adam, hope the X Factor. So we're getting a lot of Trey Lyles X Factors. I don't disagree with that. Now, I'm not going to say he's the X Factor for the season, but yes, maybe tonight he could be. Foul trouble also tonight. No room for it. The Kings have to make sure, again, they guard without fouling, physical without fouling, because Atlanta, one of the best team in the NBA at converting free throw attempts, and they're second in the NBA they're first in the NBA in free throws made, second in free throw attempts. We'll put that back up for you one more time. We'll roll through the rest of the questions, and we will get you out to the Kings and the Hawks. Glad you could join us here on the pregame. Really appreciate it. Here's some more Hawks numbers. You can digest those. But there's your Kings, actually. Let's go with your Hawks. You can give those a look, come up with your own X factors and scores. Romanowski, 118, 117. Sack, 122, 109 Kings. So, Frog, Grant will rant on you if you do it backwards. Well, I guess you did 122, 109 Kings. That's fine. That wasn't 109, 122. Good enough. Derek, crying face. Who do you think will win Rookie of the Year? Man, I think, well, Zach Edey was the favorite after Summer League. I don't think it's going to be Zach Edey. Dalton Connect, if the Lakers continue to have a relevant season, if they make the playoffs, I've got to think Dalton Connect is going to be a big part of that. I think it's Dalton Connect. I don't know that you've ever had a rookie of the year that comes off the bench, though. I don't know. There's something about Dalton because I think about this rookie class. Sarr not ready. Reese Shea, your number one pick, who you will see tonight. He will be in the starting lineup for the Hawks. They're just not. They're not NBA ready yet. They kind of need to grow into their bodies. They need to get some more seasoning on them. I know I'm leaving out Reed Shepherd has not been getting a ton of minutes. Klingon, same thing. I don't see it with him, although he has dropped about 25 pounds. Dalton Connect to me, out of the rookies that I've watched play. Now, let's make the distinction because I have not watched every NBA game this season. But the rookies I've watched, he is the most ready. And with that being said, Bronny James is going to be your rookie of the year. What do you guys think about that? Bronny James, Kings 113, 108. Just kidding, by the way. Kings 118, 109. Love it. Keep the scores coming. Cody, he's going 119, 109. Kings, yeah. Can the Kings keep this Hawks team under 100 points? That, to me, is going to be the real interesting thing to watch tonight as well, because the Hawks score the ball well. They're scoring the ball really well. 117.6 a game. Problem is they're allowing 123.6 to their opponents. And if you look at the net rating for the Kings, I didn't bring this up yet. The net rating is great right now, 6.2. The Kings never got over 1.8 last season. So again, tiny sample size, but all very encouraging. And I go back to, I hope you can catch the Kings court from yesterday. I talked about the balanced attack the Sacramento Kings team has had, predominantly with its starters. Look at Domas, look at DeMar, look at Fox, all over 20 points. The burn rate with Domas, not there anymore. The burn rate with Fox, not there anymore. It's balanced how it should be. Again, early in the season, can Kevin Huerter keep this up? And can Malik Monk come on? So certainly some areas of improvement that can improve, but pretty encouraging overall. But we need to keep seeing it. The Kings do not have any room for errors, any room for leniency in games like this that they should win. You've got to win these games. You've got a banged up Atlanta team. You've got the Raptors without Scotty Barnes. You've got to get these wins on the road. So I'm glad we got one of our Sacramento brothers in the building. He will get the Kings going. If the energy is not there, we will be back at halftime. Matthew, let's get the last ones in here. The scoring seems to be lower this year across the NBA. Yeah, I don't, Matthew, this will be a bigger talk with Grant because we got plenty of time to do it. Now's not the time, but NBA teams are swinging, and Jerry Reynolds and I kind of spearheaded this conversation. They're starting to swing back to the big man. They're putting two bigs on the court now, and that affects scoring because you're not putting up as many threes. Again, the Kings only putting up 34.8 threes. So pace tonight, key. The Kings getting on the boards, key, absolutely. Play physical without fouling, key. You've got to have a burst off the bench. All those things and more for a Kings victory tonight. But again, the Hawks without Bogey, without Dyson Daniels, to be exactly on the point. The guys that usually give them a big lift, they are out tonight. Kings, baby. I love it. All right, we're going to get you out. Come back at halftime. Grant and Jerry will be right here. We'll be talking about the first 24 minutes. Hopefully, we're talking about 24 minutes of good, great Kings basketball from Atlanta. Agree, Furious. Agree. No room to... You let a team like this hang around, it's going to be a problem because Atlanta can fill it up. They can absolutely fill it up. So we will see which Kings team shows up. The Kings team that is 2-0 in its last two, or the Kangs from last year. I'm confident we're going to see a good team tonight. Hey, be back at halftime. We're looking forward to having Jerry Reynolds on the channel. Thank you to everybody for the questions, for the comments, for the chats. Make it a great first half. We will see you at halftime. 24-minute mark. Jerry Reynolds right here on the channel. So long.